there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'll be looking at Slash Them All by Antoine Maillard. This is brand new out from Fantagraphics. Just got it in the mail a couple days ago and finally had a chance to read it. It's a beautiful book. The rendering in it is all done in this pencil. It's this combination of like really simple cartoony line art and then really, really nice pencil shading, oftentimes with very kind of simple shapes, so it looks a bit flat and graphic as well. But I think the thing that impresses me most is the sense of atmosphere and lighting pretty much throughout the book. There's one panel in particular that I tagged that I really, really liked. But also with that, just like the composition of each panel, the breakdown of shapes and all of that is really cool as well. So I really enjoyed the art in this. The story is like, it's both very straightforward and very ambiguous at the same time, so I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think I'll need to read it again and mull it over. It brings me back to this thing I keep coming back to on a lot of my reviews, where after having read more manga, these more decompressed stories, a lot of Western stories just feel really short to me. And I keep bringing it up because like I have a couple stories in mind that I would like to get to eventually, and I know that I have to fit it, just, time constraints and stuff, doing it all by myself, not having a bunch of assistants. Like this book's 146 pages, about 150 pages. So I know that I will probably, to tell the stories I want to tell, have to fit them into like 100, 150 pages or less. But I'm rubbing up against like how much richer I feel like manga is. Because of the ability to decompress and really spend like years with a character versus, a book like this, as beautiful as it is, I probably read it in 20, 25 minutes or something. And that's not to say that there's not a lot to go back to in the book. It's just a pretty breezy experience. A lot of manga is really breezy too, but there's like, 40 volumes of them or whatever. So that's just been something that I've really been struggling with lately. And I don't think it's a condemnation of this work. It's just something that I'm keeping an eye on. And then within this work as well, there's a lot of things that are both resolved and unresolved. Like it's mostly about this character here who's been killing people with a baseball bat. There's like a small coastal town, and this character with the baseball bat has been killing people. And then there's two other what I would consider main characters. Here is Dan, and then a girl that he hangs out with and maybe kind of has a crush on, Paul. And there's a couple other characters, like this character Laura. This is the Paul character. There's a couple other characters that are pretty important, but these are the main two, I would say, Laura and Paul. And as they kind of respond to the serial killer, I almost get the sense that like the serial killer's not real. It's like something else within the town. But I mean, the book plays out in a way that's also very straightforward and literal. But there's like these small gaps that are hard to explain. I don't want to get too much into it because it's a brand new book, so I don't want to give away too much of the story because I recommend you go buy it. But there's like these small little gaps where you're not getting as much dialogue and stuff, and so you can read more into it. Like here you have Dan with the knife. You have this character going on this murder spree, and then really your first introduction to Dan is like the glasses and the knife here, and then you have like some dead bodies and some buried characters, and then you get Dan waking up, and so you almost get the sense that this whole thing is a dream Dan is having, or like you're just like, is this a dream? He's dreaming about being a murderer. Is he having a fugue state where he was the murderer? It seems to have a more literal answer in the end. This is someone else, and these two characters interact with them. But there's like these gaps in there that make me mistrust my read of it. So that's where I don't like really know what to make of it in the end. There's some really cool moments here, like right here where Paul is hiding in the wood and watching this fight go down between the baseball bat guy and somebody with a gun. You can see it's a totally silent sequence, and I like right here that there's these couple of visuals for like a scream or a cry, a bark, Those could be literal things that are being heard out in the forest, a baby nearby and a dog nearby. Like there are dogs in here and other scenes that are more literal. But here it almost serves like this metaphorical function, I think, where it's like she's trying not to scream. She wants to scream, but she's containing this. Like that's what I get when I read it. But there are other scenes where like a dog gets killed, and that could be read literally. So that's another one of those moments too, where it's like this gap in the fiction, where the story becomes less straightforward in my mind. But I also like this as a mechanism for her like containing her scream. So it kind of serves a double function, and I like that. This panel here is one of the exemplary ones. There's a number I could have pointed out, but just in terms of composition, like this isometric perspective in here, it looks like is being used, that makes everything feel more like, I don't know, solid and stable and designy. The placement of shapes is great, like the whole balance of composition. But then also the sense of lighting. Like this has no color in it, but man, it feels like a room lit by a TV. And I looked up Antoine Maillard on Instagram, and a lot of it, he's mostly an illustrator. This is his first graphic novel, which is a hell of a debut. But it looks like his style is to do this with pencil and then take it and color it on the computer. And I like the choice that the book is in black and white, being kind of like a horror movie vibe to it. But I really enjoy this stuff that I've seen as well. And I can like see how this panel would be colored even just in pencil. And so I think that's really impressive. And the sense of light and ambiance throughout the book is just ridiculously good. So that's pretty much it. There's, these high school kids going around dealing with the fact that there's murder loose in town and being high school kids and having parties and stuff. The party scenes are really great too. Just the compositions here and the balance of values and shapes and the rhythm of it all. Like, these are really beautiful. That's like a peak composition right there. You can't get better than that. Just this I thought was funny. There's this scene where Dan is out and he's got a knife and he's looking at it and seeing his own reflection in it, and then Paul comes up and he stuffs it in the front of his pants. Like, I get stuffing a gun in your pants, but it seems like a pretty bad idea to stuff a meat cleaver down in your pants. Like, it's facing towards his dick. I don't know. That moment to me just seems really poorly planned. Like, how is he gonna move? Now he's making out with this girl. Like, I don't know. That part to me just seems like a bad planning. But anyways, I don't want to give away the end of the book. It's a good book. I really enjoyed it. It's, it has the brevity of like, I got to tell a story in 150 pages. It's one of those things where you kind of wish the artist had time to go for 600 pages or something. But I get it, like time constraints. And I think the ambiguity and the kind of gaps in the story make it all more interesting in the end. In terms of the actual production, the production's great and the design's really great. It's like a canvas cover, and then they have these couple areas that are embossed, like the lettering here and the ISBN code are embossed in the lettering here. So that's really cool. I like things where they're like a tactile experience for me. So a really beautiful book. Just gorgeous art and an intriguing story that I'll probably have to revisit. Highly recommend it though. If you enjoy what we're doing here on the channel, the best ways to support us, the two ways to support us are be patrons on our Patreon. We really appreciate the support there. That gives us some extra money to buy books with. Sometimes I'll get a book and be like, hey, Sean, you got to get this. And it's good to have those extra monies to get the books that each other are recommending. And then the best thing to do is to support the books that Sean has coming out through Living the Line Publishing. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some of those now. Issue number 3 of The Abolition of Man is part 2 of the sci-fi social satire story that I started in issue 2 of The Abolition of Man. Sean has picked up the writing reins for issue 3 and taken my story and expanded upon it and given it an ending. We're asking, this is still all entirely illustrated by the Midjourney AI. We're just asking it to work in the pen and ink style that we were using for issue 2. It's one of the funniest, scariest, most interesting looking comics that you'll get in a long while. So definitely check this out. And if you haven't, make sure you get all the issues 1 and 2 and 4 and 5 when they come out as well. House on Fire by Matt Battaglia is just gorgeous book where Matt's kind of making an emotional response to the years of COVID and wrapping that into a sci-fi dystopian future. that really the sci-fi dystopian's backgrounded, and you're focused on the emotional journey of two characters in a really beautiful way. And then that's enhanced by Matt's like really awesome, loose, kind of Paul Popish dry brush work. And then Sean and Matt have worked to get this second kind of orange spot color in there that's going to look really, really beautiful, and has allowed Matt to use his dry brush technique to add tone to the thing too. So with Sean's production technique, this is going to be a gorgeous book with a lot of heart. Thanks for following along. Take it away, Jack.
You want to see all these books? Smash that subscribe button and the like button and the bell, and then you get them.